welcome back to the channel. So I got a few requests about continuing this topic of Vargas, which are the divisional charts in the Vedic astrology. So in this video we'll dwell a little bit into the basics, but also if you are more advanced, I hope you will find some valuable tips in this video. So let's dive right into this topics of Vargas. We know that the houses are representing the specific areas of life. For example, 4th house is about the properties, 7th house is about the relationships, and 10th house is about the work. So the Vargas are the development of the meaning of these houses. It is like taking a closer look into the area with the magnifying glass. And these Vargas are created by dividing the house into the equal parts. And the number of these parts will depend on the house we are taking into the consideration. For example, if we are seeing the 4th house, which is about the property, the relevant Varga would be the D4, and the D4 is created by dividing the house into the 4 parts. We know that the house and sign has 30 parts, so then the one part will have 7 degree and 30 minutes. The abbreviation for the Vargas is like D4 or D7 or D9, or we can also use the letter V, like it could be V7, V9, the D means divisional chart and V means Vargas. So for example, we know that the 2nd house is about the finances, about the wealth. So if we divide the sign into 2 parts and we will allocate the planets to the new chart based on the Shastric rules, then the new chart will be about the resources, about the family and about the wealth. If we create the new chart based on the division of the house into 3 parts, like for example the Parashara Drekana, then this will be about the 3rd house mothers. We know that the 3rd house is about the siblings. So the Parashara Drekana will show the life of the siblings, our relationship with the siblings, even the marriages and children of the siblings, the health issues of the siblings, all that we can find in the D3 chart. But sometimes the Vargas are created based on the 3rd and 11th. We know that the 3rd house is showing what is needed for something and the 11th house shows fruits. For example, the 5th house is about the children and what is needed for children is the 7th house, which is 3rd from the 5th. So the 7th house, the relationships are needed for children, and the 11th house shows the fruits, the phala. So the fruits of the relationship is the 5th house, which is the children. Similarly, the 9th house is about the dharma, about the engagement, about the contract and agreements. So we know that first there must be engagement, which is in 9th house, and then the fruit of that is the serious relationship, which is in the 7th house. So therefore, sometimes the Varga is based on the 3rd house from the house of the meaning. So for example, we have the Saptamsha, D7, which is depicting the life of the children, and D9, which is the 9th house. This is a chart of relationship because 11 from 9th is the 7th house of the relationships. And even if we divide the sign, for example, into the 3 parts, there will be different rules for the allocating these planets into the new chart. And this will depend on the meaning of the 3rd house we want to see in the Varga. For example, we have the 3rd house as a karma, as something we are doing with our hands, and therefore this will be seen in the Jagannath Drekana. But there is also a chart related to a Parashara Drekana, the standard one, which is given in the Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, and this is about our siblings. We know that the house has different meaning, and there are also various calculations of the additional chart based on what we want to see in this chart. We also know that there are 16 divisional charts, and with the Rashi, so this is like a 15. We know that there are 15 titis in the month, in the Shukla Paksha, which is the increasing moon, and also in the Krishna Paksha. So that 15 is related to Titi, and Titi means the gust. It's coming from the Atiti word. And the Vargas, therefore, we are like a guest in these worlds. For example, the D10 shows the office, so we are like the guests in the office. We are entering that world, and also the people from this world are entering and influencing our life. So they are guests which are coming into our life, and we are also guests which is entering the environment. So therefore there are this main D16 charts. There are of course more charts. Jaimini is also giving a few charts. There is also this high, very high, like D144, and also the Nadyamsha and so on. But these main Vargas given by Rishi Parashara, they are 16 divisional charts. The standard ones are D2, which is the Hora. This is about the resources and also about wealth when we are using the Kashinat Hora. There is also D3, which is the Parashara Drekana, about siblings. We have D4, which is about the properties, also called Turyamsa. There is also another meaning for that about the Vedas. We have D7, which is about the children. We have D9, which is related to two meaning. When we take Navamsha independently, it is about relationship. If we take it together with the Rashi, it is showing the Dharma, the Bhagya, our abilities, what is big karma in our life. Then we have this Dashamsa, which is about our career life, and Svarga. D12 is about the parents. Then we have D16, which is about the comforts. We have D20, which is about our Upasana, which is spiritual practice. So in this chart we can know what is the best way to advance spiritually. If Lagna Lord is in 4 or 12, maybe it's meditation. If it's the 5th, about the mantra, 9th house, service to Guru, and so on. We have also the D24, which is about the academical life. Then we have two subconscious Vargas, which is D27 and D30, which is showing about our strengths and weaknesses. Then we have the chart D40 and D45, which is about our lineage from the mother and father side. And then we have the D60, which is showing the general karma, which is coming from the past life. And in this chart, we can also see our past life. So astrology, as we know, is taking into consideration the philosophy of Vedanta, which is showing that we are the soul, which is transmigrating and changing the bodies. Sometimes there is a situation that from one house we have a few Vargas coming. For example, from the 12th house, we have D12, which is about parents. We have D24, which is about education. And we have also the D60, which is about the past life. If you like this video so far, please don't forget to click the thumbs up. It helps me with the algorithm. Also subscribe if you want to see similar topics in the video. And now let's continue with this topic. Question would be why we need the Vargas. So Vargas are the answers to the two questions. The first question is which area in the groups of meaning related to that house is the topic of the forecast. For example, if we talk about the 9th house, are we talking about the studies or father? The second question would be if we have decided already for this topic, like for example, 4th house could be about mother and properties and the mind. We are already decided for that. So then what's exactly going on in that environment? If it's a malefic in the 4th house, something bad is happening to our property. Is it about our misfortunes, which can be seen in 12th house? Is it about loans? Are we losing the property? Do we have some legal case? So what is exactly going in that property environment? So the Rasi chart is having much more broad meaning. So in the philosophy of essentialism, we are taking into account that they are things which are having the common essence. For example, we can take the meanings of the 4th house and we can derive the meaning of shelter. So everything in the 4th house is giving us shelter. It could be our mind, it could be property, which is Mars or Ketu. It is our education, which is the Mercury. Then we have the mother, which is the moon. So all these things are having the common essence. Therefore, they are all in the 4th house. So this philosophy of essentialism is basically very much connected to the Platonic or Neoplatonic idealism, when we are taking the idea which is behind what we can see with our senses. The contrary philosophy to that, on the another periphery, we have the nominalism, which is telling us that everything is different. So every chair is different. There is no such thing like chairness, which is the things which all chairs are sharing. And even if it is, this is only in our mind. So this is more conceptual than metaphysical. And astrology is going more into this metaphysical essentialism when we can see the patterns of our life, and all these patterns are seen in the 4th house. Whilst when we want to see more nominalistic view of the mothers, then we can open the Vargas and we can see, oh, this partner look like this is partners look like this. So then we can differentiate between this common karma which is seen in the Rasi chart. Now, if we can connect also the Rasi chart with the Vargas, we can take the lords into the Vargas. There are a few terms for that. This is a bit advanced, but then we can see what part of this environment, for example work, is changing our fortune, or with which element, which area we can open the Vargas. So the Rasi chart, I see it like a hand, and we are taking that hand into that environment symbolically. So to which element of this world I have direct access, and because of that I can influence the whole environment. And from the second answer, which means what is exactly going on if we already decide for the specific area of the house. For example, if we have the 10th house of the office, we know that, oh, there are some problems with clients or partners, then this is also very useful in timing, because if we have the dashas, we can also say what is exactly going in the environment, and with without this Varga charts, we can only say it's good or bad for career life, but we cannot state without the Vargas what is exactly good, what is exactly bad. Therefore, Kalyana Varma of Sharavali, he said that if we don't have Vargas, we cannot do even one step into the forecasting. It's impossible to make anything specific. We can only be then reduced to that humanistic psychological reduction. Then we also have this categorization, which is coming from Aurobindo approach to consciousness. There are 5 types of consciousness, and Sanjay Rath is telling us that this applies very much to the Vargas and hierarchy in the Vargas. So we have this physical Vargas, which are from D1 till D12. Then we have this mental, which are D16 till D27. Then we are entering that subconsciousness level, which is D27 and the 30. Then we have something which is super consciousness, this is D40, D45, and supra consciousness, which is D60 chart, which is showing the impulses from our past lives. And also a few things about the calculation as an example of D4 to give just idea how it works. We know that the D4 chart, it is coming from dividing the one house into the 4 parts. So if we take 30, because 30 degrees will have one sign, one house, if we divide it to 4 parts, each part will have 7 degrees and 30 minutes. And then we have these 4 compartments. There are this demarcation line, which are in the 750, 0 to 730, 730 to 15, 15 to 20 to 30, and 20 to 30 to 30 degrees. And then based in which compartment the planet is sitting, this will go to another house in this new chart called Chaturtamsha. So for example, if the planet is in the first Chaturtamsha from 0 to 7, it will stay in the same sign in the new chart. And the same applies to ascendant. So if the Graha is in the second compartment from 7 to 15, it will sit in the 4th house from the sign. So in the new chart, in the D4, it will jump to the 4th house from its original placement in D1. If it's in 3rd compartment, it will go to 7 from original sign in Rashi. And if it's in 10th house, then this planet from Rashi will go to the 10th house from its Rasi sign in the new chart of Chaturtamsha. Each Varga has the specific rules how we are allocating these planets to the new chart, and what is interesting is that this calculation also holds or hides a lot of philosophy. So based on the calculations, you can also derive how to interpret that Varga. For example, we know that the Navamsha is all about the starting the calculations from the movable sign, and there are 4 such movable signs. So these are like Kendras. So therefore we know that for the Navamsha, the Kendras are very important, and therefore also the Ayana is very important for the Navamsha. And the last thing which I want to share in this video is about the difference between the Rashi and the Varga. Rashi is more like our physical body, it's more about the biological self, it is how we are reacting to things based on our character, and the Vargas are more circumstantial. So for example, if I have a 5th house which has very Shubha grahas like Venus, Moon and Jupiter, it may show that my mind is very peaceful, and therefore based on that biology, based on that character, we will choose the mantras or the sadhana which are also peaceful, right? If the person is very sattvic, he will not be attracted to the agori, or not will be attracted to some black magic or some dark cults and so on. But if in the Vimshamsa we have this malefic influences or some yogas for such worship, if we have some yogas like this, the Venus afflicted and so on, given in the Jaimini Sutras, so then by circumstances this can somehow conquer our biology. It also can be related to, for example, we can be very sattvic, but just due to circumstances we can go on the train with some guru or some other person and he can convince us to such worship. So these Vargas are showing the force, the power of the environment against our biology. So what will win? Is it my preferences or is it the influence of the environment of the people? So therefore there is this clash between the Rashi and the Varga. Similarly, we can also apply it to Navamsha based on our nature. If we are very peaceful, we are very sattvic, or there are different divisions, we could say we are very like Kapha person, then normally we would have a preference also for a similar partners. But by circumstances, by other people, by the situation, by being in one scenario like work or school, or being in some journey with someone, we can enter the situation when we are in a relationship with someone who is totally different from us. Normally, by our so-called biology or psychology, we would not choose such partner, but by circumstances, by some magic development of things, we are entering relationships with people who are completely different from us. So this is also showing the power of Vargas. This is also going a little bit about this law of attraction, which basically trying to make the D1 and the Varga, which is me, my psychology, and the environment as a one, but in truth they are different. My approach is D1, but what I can get from the environment can be totally different. So therefore also Vedic astrology is very much astrology of events and forecasting or events, not only of psychology, but also about the external situation, because we have those Varga charts and we can also see the karma of what is going on around us, not only what's going on in our head. Okay guys, so that's gonna be it from me. I hope you find a few ideas, reflections, considerations which can be helpful for your Jyotish. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up, subscribe for more, and see you in the next one.